Hey guys, it's me again, and here's the update on the 1964 Dodge Custom 880. And it has been certainly been a while since the last update. Today's subject is basic must-needs, that sort of thing. So without further ado, let's get into the hood. And here we are. I think this is the first time you guys seen the engine all back together ever since I had the rocker covers off, or valve covers off, and everything disassembled. Let's remove that air cleaner cover so we can get underneath and see what's been repaired or slash fixed. And with the power of editing, the air cleaner has disappeared from the top of the carburetor. Here we can see the carburetor actually has received a new gasket kit. Damn! So it's not leaking fuel anymore. Because there's this one problem where I had where the car would sputter and wouldn't accelerate much. It basically had no power, and one of the jets inside the carburetor was clogged. So it wouldn't really accelerate very much and was basically running lean. I apologize, I do not have like a before and after footage of how the carburetor looked like, but just imagine the carburetor maybe like, I don't know, maybe this brown color right here. Yeah, that's pretty much technically how it looked like on the carburetor. And I think you guys already noticed from past videos, while I had the valve covers off, I repainted these valve covers almost similar to what the Dodges and Mopars and Chryslers had back in the day. It was supposed to be I think they call it like Chrysler turquoise or something like that. I don't remember. The auto parts store didn't really have that color, so I had to go with something more similar to it. I do apologize for the lack of lighting, or if it may seem dark on your PC screens, whatever you got. I would be filming this outside of the garage if I could, but it's just raining cats and dogs out there. And another fix, which was thermostat housing in front of the compressor, or actually right underneath the compressor, or the air conditioning compressor, if you're wondering what this is. The problem here was I replaced this freaking thermostat housing like I think it was 3 times or 2 times now, and the first one leaked because it was not flush and flat with the water pump housing, which that's the water pump, and then there's a housing in here. That's where the thermostat housing is sitting on. The thermostat housing was not flush with the housing, so it would leak. And I used a precarious amount of RTV to try to seal it out, but yeah, it was not going to seal, so I had to buy yet again another one, which this one is the permanent fit here now. And it's not leaking as is right now, which better not leak. And the miscellaneous slash basic fix, I would say, the vacuum advance canister I got here, and that was a pain. Part of my language, but it was a pain in the ass to find. I think I bought this for around $34, $25 was it? And it was actually pretty good because there was like the seller on eBay, which this guy wanted like $85 for one of these canisters, and I was like, oh, what? Like, hell no, dude, I'm gonna find a better deal. And found one for, I think it was $35, $25, and this thing is working pretty well. I think the maker of the vacuum advance canister is Bendix. I think that's what it was. And another thing you guys might have noticed is distributor what is it? Distributor cap has been replaced yet again for, well, honestly, it's kind of actually retarded. It's a retarded reason, really. The distributor cap I had on the other one, you remember it was like blue, right? Yeah, that blue one actually had aluminum contacts inside the where the rotor spins around and touches. Well, not touches, but makes contacts with. And since it was aluminum, it degraded very, very quickly and caused a miss sometimes in the engine, and I basically thought it might have been the points. Made me run around with my head cut off like a chicken, and found out that was the distributor cap causing all the issue. Don't ignore the most simplest things in cars, especially this old rust bucket. And another basic, or I suppose it would be a miscellaneous. Nah, I would say as basic. Basic fix is the battery has been replaced yet again. And what I mean by yet again is because the freaking battery that I got from Walmart was bogus, and one of these cells were dead inside the battery, because it would be reading like 12.6 or 12.5, which is technically a good battery. But then when I would try to crank the motor or crank the engine, the voltage would drop down to like 11.7. Or talk off the manager at Walmart for at least 2 hours or so until they finally gave me a refund battery, or refunded me a battery. It was freaking annoying because it's like they were so in denial about their battery tests, saying, you know, your battery is good, your voltage is good, but then it's like they only charge the battery for like 2 hours or so, and then once I come back to get it, it's still the same damn story. I would try to crank the motor, and then it would drop down to 11.7. It's just a dead battery. It had this dead cell in it. I mean, I might sound arrogant with that, stating the fact that it's a dead cell in it, but they were just in denial, really. And the other fix is I got this. One moment. Got this new air cleaner on the driver's side valve cover, because the older one had it had these little fiber elements inside it, inside these little holes of the older one, but then they were practically gone, so I got a new one instead. I think you guys already noticed it well. I spray painted a 361 number onto the valve covers right here, and I am liking this. And another thing I forgot to mention was, now this is going to sound really scary, but probably not for you experienced people that mess with Chrysler engines and such, like pre-1953 and 1965 engines, 361, 383 types, or 440 or 404s, something like that. Anyway, the engine developed a ticking noise, and my first thought was it might have been the tappets, because I messed with it recently and cleaned them all out, so they might have been acting up or something. And I took the valve cover off and inspected the tappets, but I mean, sure, they're dished, but they're not that intensively dished to the point where they could cause problems. And it turned out it was much more simpler than that. It's technically really hard to see. Let's get some light down here, shall we? And we got some light down here for once. Well, and the problem with the ticking noise was that 361, 383s, and technically most Mopars have this notorious issue where the nuts that's on these manifold studs comes out. Yeah, they come out or get loose over time, and then the manifold would get loose over time, and then the air would be escaping between the head and the exhaust manifold, and now make you a tick, 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 tick. It almost made it sound like a tappet noise, but it's actually an exhaust leak. And as you guys can see, the remanufactured starter that I stated from, I think that was maybe part 3, maybe part 4, I don't know, is now in the vehicle and it starts the car. And the second basic fix is the fuel pump has been changed out with a new one, because honestly I think I was getting some kind of like a hesitation at times when I would accelerate. So the fuel pump has been replaced, and the fuel filter has been replaced as well with a see-through version, because I technically wanted to see what was flowing through my engine. Right, that's pretty much what's been going on under the hood. I mean, like this is not what I've been doing for like the past 6 months or a whole year. Like this is not the only updates I've been doing or things I've been doing around the car. There's various other things I've been doing. It's just I want to, you know, kind of keep it as a secret. So that's enough stuff from under the hood. Let's go into the car, like inside the car. Yeah, you heard me right. Inside the car. We got something done inside the car. Now you can burn your fingers off because now you're touching wires under the dash and such. So as we see here, this is the gauge cluster. And what I got fixed up in the gauge cluster was the fuel gauge somewhat works now. Somewhat. So I suspect the bimetallic strip. Yeah, that's probably something you may or may not have heard of. This bimetallic strip heats up using an electric current, and then which in turn it slowly bends like a coil. Just think of this. Just think of this finger as my electronic coil or bimetallic strip being heated up. It moves slowly like that, and in turn it moves the gauges slowly as well, which is technically what you need because you don't want the fuel sloshing around and then the gauge being erratic all over the place. So yeah, so I kind of got that fixed, and what I mean by kinda is, let me go get the keys here and shove it in there and put it into accessories. So that's all the way to the left, and look at that, gauge works. Well, kind of. And once again, what I mean by kind of is the bimetallic strip is probably just worn out as hell, so then it just won't go all the way to the full, but it'll go around halfway. And right now I have the fuel tank all loaded up. So if this thing goes around the halfway point, so around here, that means it's full. But then once the fuel gets actually low, the gauge starts getting accurate, like for real, kind of. Because I just used like 5 gallons yesterday, and this is a 23-gallon tank, and it was basically onto that last portion of the marker was basically on the last portion of the white right there. So then I was like, wait, it can't be low on fuel. I mean, I just refilled it, and the gauge is still inaccurate, so I'll need to still address that in a future video, of course. And another thing I got fixed in here was the light switch. I bet you guys haven't heard of this. It's called a rheostat. Yeah, that's what it's called. The rheostat actually enables you to change the brightness as you turn this. So let's see if we can, let's turn this light off first. It's going to look pretty dark, but one moment. There you go. And the light is on. And adjust the brightness. That's dark. And that's brighter. That's what the rheostat does. And I cleaned up the rheostat. Yeah. Well, that's basically the basic function of the rheostat. You turn it and then changes the brightness. I think it's the way it changes the brightness is the varying ohms resistance in the coil that's in the rheostat. So the rheostat has been cleaned. I mean, that name just boggles my mind. I mean, the rheostat, I mean, that kind of actually sounds pretty cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I mean, I have tons more things I actually had done to the car, but I want to put that off for another part of the video, so build some suspense. Let's go over the fixes again. Got the let's see, the carburetor gasket kit, and got the valve covers painted. And did I mention the valve covers received new gaskets also? And new fuel pump, new fuel filter, and let's see what else. Right, new battery. That's another one. New distributor cap and a new distributor rotor. Actually, that's another one I missed, and a vacuum advanced canister. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And the miscellaneous, super miscellaneous fixes like light switches, the rheostat, the fuel gauge, that sort of thing. That's pretty much it for now. Yeah. So please comment, rate, and subscribe, and look at my other parts for my Dodge videos. I mean, I got a ton. I think around maybe closing in at 10 now, 9 maybe. But yeah, closing in on like maybe 14 soon. Who knows? So yeah, see you later, guys.